Thanks, Shauna, and that is right. We are back behind the desk, this time with Executive Vice President of Global Industries, Mike Sicilia. Mike, it's great to have you back on Oracle TV.
Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
I think you've done this like several years in a row with us now.
Well, so far so good.
I love it. All right, well, we just heard Safra discuss how we are helping customers win with the cloud and AI. What were some of your biggest takeaways from that, and what excited you the most?
Yeah, I think what was really interesting to me is that each one of the customer panels spoke about the use of AI to help better serve their customers. So, as part of a customer transformation, initiative. I mean, in the past there was lots of focus on CX systems as vehicles to better serve our customers, but now we're really seeing CX plus edge compute, CX plus edge AI, and how do we bring it as close to our customers as we possibly can. And I think we heard that from everybody on the panel, even the CIA.
Yeah.
Right, how do we bring it close to the mission? How do we bring it close to somebody who's maybe by themselves on a particular mission? So to me, that was the biggest takeaway that I had.
Yeah, one of the, when she was talking about Gen AI, she said, we have some of the same goals with Gen AI as every industry has.
Absolutely right.
Not all of it is specific to the mission. I mean, it will be, but some of the same challenges of summarizing data, getting access to data quicker, really interesting conversation.
Yeah, we've seen the same thing, Fritz. I mean, our clinical digital assistant for healthcare that we recently released is a tool that allows medical providers, doctors, nurses, practitioners, when they see a patient, to get an automatic summary of that patient's record and understand everything contextually. We actually debuted that in our utilities business. We actually debuted that for customer service agents and call centers in our utilities business. Same technology, same core technology, different vertical application.
Well, we want to talk a little bit about that. We are hearing a lot of talk about transformation across industries, as you just kind of pointed out. How does Oracle technology take breakthroughs in one industry and apply them to others, like you just described?
Yeah. Well, so let me expand a bit on the example that I just gave. Because I think it's a good one. Lots of synergies across industries, lots of reuse of technology. The one thing that is different is the edge. So, clinical applications, when you're seeing a patient, are in fact different than call center automation applications that our energy and water customers are running. So, what we're doing specifically is embedding it all the way to the edge. And that's different and very unique in the industry. A lot of our competitors, at least our hyperscaler competitors or big application competitors, don't have that final piece, which is the B2B2C or the provider to patient piece of things. So if you can embed that technology as a service all the way to the very edge, I think it's a transformational thing. And I just think it makes it easier for customers to consume this rather than going through and stitching these things together themselves.
Absolutely.
One of the other big themes to come out of Safra's keynote, we heard it from the CIA, and we heard it from, I think, every customer that went up there, is security. The CIA has been a customer for, as Fritz put, 46 years. Protecting the world's most sensitive data is something that we do. But how has that evolved in this AI era?
Yeah. Well, as you said, in every one of our industries, in every one of our mission critical industries, cybersecurity is a focus. Healthcare, financial services, utilities. This is nation scale, mission critical infrastructure, and the digital assets that surround it are unfortunately under attack on a constant basis. So we partner with our customers to help keep the world safe and help keep those things from happening. How it's evolved now is because as you think about the progression of AI, really large-scale acceptance now of large language models and generative AI for automating routine tasks.
Yeah.
Productivity gains for employees, productivity gains for customers. The next step, and the next piece that you started to hear a bit about from the Cloudflare presentation, is inferencing, which means customers can bring their own data to either further tune these models or to make those models, make the existing models, a little crisper, a little more relevant or germane to a particular customer experience or vertical industry. That's why technology like the Oracle Vector Database and the security that's built into it is so important, because we have to think about security not just for the applications that our customers are consuming, not just for the infrastructure, but everything you're also doing with the data. And that data, at this point, could be anywhere. It could be unstructured data, it could be data from the public internet, it could be private data, and you really got to think about how do you secure that whole thing.
Right.
And I think that's the next frontier in AI-based security.
So what differentiates Oracle? We're going to be asking this. I think everybody's going to be asking this as we continue to talk about AI, as we continue to talk about multi-cloud. What differentiates Oracle when it comes to our security?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that we can do it all, right? I mean, we're not going to leave any of the things that we spoke about here. We're not leaving it to our customers to stitch that together themselves. To be able to consume end-to-end automation by industry as a stack, I think it's been, frankly, our secret sauce, even in the old on-premises days, but now as a service, it's elevated our partnership with our customers because, as Safra said, we have a relationship because we are at a minimum the operator, in many cases the custodian of most of their digital assets. So customers don't want to be stitching this stuff together themselves. It's just, it just gets in the way of velocity and keeping pace with what we're doing. So
we're hitting on this security theme a bit, and I just want to come back to it for a second.
Sure.
Or keep on it for a second. We've seen all of the things that you talked about in, as you said, in every industry. We've seen it in utilities. We've seen it in hospitality. We've seen it, obviously, banks and retail. We're all very familiar with it. And as we work with our customers, obviously we're embedding a lot of security in everything we do. How do we work with them to allow them or help them not be that next victim?
Yeah, well, you have to first think about security at every level of the stack by vertical industry because there are different regulations and different security parameters in banks versus healthcare versus energy and water utilities, and we're embedding that security at every level in the stack. So you will see, if you look closely, vertically specific security certifications and profiles and vertically specific code that runs in OCI. It runs in OCI. Vertically specific HIPAA compliant code that runs in the Fusion applications for HCM and for supply chain management, and of course in our vertical and edge applications as well. So if any one piece of this is not compliant, then you got a problem, and that's not what we want to position to our customers.
In talking about the benefits of our full stack and the integrated stack, what role do our partners play in this arena?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we've been discussing this with a lot of our partners here this week. Our full stack plus AI is changing the relationship that we have with our partners and the trilateral relationship that we have with our customers as well. Because I think we're having business value transformation discussions in addition to just system implementation discussions. Like, what's the outcome that we want to get from this collective stack? And when you look at the system holistically, and you look at this thing through the lens of end-to-end automation, it's a business conversation and an IT conversation together. So our partners, our system integrator partners, are actually helping us have those differentiated conversations with business executives and IT executives alike. Rewind years back, a lot of IT projects were thought about as individual pillars, individual product implementations. Now our customers are really thinking about these as solution implementations, and the outcome is not just a successful go live of a particular pillar. It's actually something that's changed in the business. It's a customer experience that's changed. Right. The metrics are different.
Yeah, I mean, we heard that from MGM, from Bill. He talked about, here's a CEO talking about technology as an enabler for tailoring customer experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't escape it. It is the enabler. So you have a CloudWorld keynote tomorrow. Want to give us any sneak peeks of what we might hear?
Well, we're going to hear more about industry suites. We're going to hear more about end-to-end automation. We're going to dive deep into some of our vertical industries. We're also going to talk about what we're doing for vertical industries at large and springboards and things learnings that we've learned over the years that we want to share with our customers. And then, the thing that's always most exciting to me is I've got 3 customers that are going to join me on the stage to talk about AI at the edge, to talk about customer experience transformation, and to talk about how that full stack and how that ecosystem approach is really helping them come up with a very different way to serve their customers. Much like we heard, as you said, from MGM today.
Can I say who they are?
You can.
Marriott, Six Flags, and Foot Locker.
You done, that's correct. Yeah. So 3 great consumer brands.
That's right.
3 brands that we all know and probably have all interacted with.
Yes, definitely.
I've got a special pair of sneakers tomorrow, ready to go.
Oh, really?
For Foot Locker.
I asked for that. Did they send you mine?
I went and purchased them myself in a Foot Locker store. I have my Marriott Bonvoy card with me. Now, Six Flags was a little tough because I don't love the big roller coasters, you know.
Same.
But I'm going to take my kids. That's the that's the promise.
Very good.
That's awesome.
You know, some of the analysts talk about this idea of industry clouds. You mentioned industry suites. What's our take on industry clouds?
Yeah, well, we hear a lot about industry clouds, and you know, a lot of our hyperscaler competitors talk a lot about the industry clouds. In my opinion, there's a piece missing in a lot of that talk, and that's the industry piece of it, right? I think what the community at large largely refers to in industry clouds is a little bit of washing of industry veneers on top of enabling technologies like analytics platforms or CX platforms or something like this. What we really view an industry suite or an industry cloud, no matter what you want to call it, is you've got to deliver the actual edge applications. So you got to deliver the mission critical operating industries by vertical industry. So the difference is, again, all of it. Right? We're not here to solve a little bit of the problem. We're attempting to solve the entire problem by vertical industry. And again, when you take the traditional definition or the current implementation at large of industry clouds, I think it's largely an IT discussion because you've got a few industry-specific certifications or a couple of features on top of enabling technology. When we're talking about it, it's an IT plus a business discussion, and I think that's the difference.
Well, I want to bring this full circle before we wrap up here. We talked about how we were hearing in Safra's keynote about how we're helping our customer's customer, and that's going to be a big theme in your keynote as well, right? Can you give us some examples, or even just one example of one of our customers helping our customer story?
Yeah, it's there's so many of them. It's it's
hard to pick.
It is very hard to pick. But I'll say in hospitality, and I think Bill from MGM touched on this just a bit. Our customers have largely made the switch to cloud. They've largely made the switch from on-premises systems, including most of the strip here, to an OCI-based environment. What they're really interested right now is using and harnessing that power to learn more about their customers. So 25,000, 30,000 people check into these big shows all at a given point. How do you make that experience deeply personal? How do you figure it out? And that really requires the harnessing of lots of technology, lots of data, some of it publicly available, some of it that they have in their own data sets. And I think you're seeing, they've got the plumbing in place, if you will. They've got the infrastructure in place, if you will. And it's now all about transformation. It's all about customer transformation. So I think the hospitality industry right now is really leading the charge on learning a lot more about their customers and their preferences.
Yeah, we've been hearing from a ton of customers, especially over the past year with all of the events that we've attended with our hospitality customers, and hearing the innovations that they're making right now has truly been incredible, and I look forward to hearing more, especially in your keynote. I can't believe it though, Mike, we're already at the end of our segment today, but we so appreciate you coming on Oracle TV, and we, again, just can't wait for your keynote tomorrow.
Always great to be with both of you. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, and now let's hear from our sponsor, Accenture.